Welcome back. Now, 10 months after the horrific rape by a cab driver in Delhi, a guilty verdict has been pronounced. A Delhi court has convicted Uber cab driver Shiv Kumar Yadav on all charges that were levelled against him. The charges include endangering a woman's life while raping her, criminal intimidation and causing hurt. The Delhi court will now pronounce the quantum of punishment on 23rd of this month. The incident took place on 5th of December last year. The accused driver was arrested 2 days later in Mathura. Following this rape, the Delhi government had banned the company Uber from operating in the city, and a case of cheating had also been registered against the application-based cab service.
The court has convicted him for all the charges for which he has been charged. So unless until I see the judgment and see the contents of the judgment, how those points which were raised by me during the time of arguments were considered by the learned ASJ. Now it is a judgment, a law which we have to follow, but we have to see what those are the grounds which has been taken by the learned presiding officer to reject our all grounds.
Today, learned trial court has convicted the accused for all the offences for which he was charge sheeted and he was charged. And now the matter is fixed for argument on the point of sentence. That is on 23rd.
And clearly this was a very significant verdict, because this is also one of the fast-tracked cases. So within 10 to 11 months, we've seen this verdict come in now. Anusha Soni, our legal correspondent, now joins us. Anusha, as far as the prosecution is concerned, I'm assuming that they will argue for the maximum term here, which would be life imprisonment.
That's absolutely correct. The provisions that have been put against him under the Indian Penal Code, there is a sentence, the maximum sentence that he can get here is the life imprisonment. Up to from 5 to 7 years is the minimum bandwidth that the defense will argue for. Also, to point out, as you were raising certain points about why it's a landmark ruling in many respects. One is that, in this matter, it was the special prosecutor which said that the testimony of the victim can be the sole evidence on which, a person, an alleged rape offender, can be convicted. So that is one of the very key point of law that was made in this matter. We'll have to look at the judgment and how the judge has taken that matter. Another point is, when this matter went to the Supreme Court on the recall of witness, on re-examining the victim, the Supreme Court also set aside the Delhi High Court order in which it had allowed the victim to be re-examined. So that is another crucial point of law where it has laid down guidelines on when the rape victim can be called again for a re-examination, and there is no mental harassment that she faces again and again in a court of law.
Absolutely, as you flag out those significant sort of ways in which this verdict can actually set a lot of precedents too. But Anusha, as far as the defense team was concerned, because they had been arguing that there were discrepancies in the victim's versions.
Yes, the argument of the defense has been that the prosecution witnesses need to be re-examined. The reason they were asking for a re-examination, their ground was, the defense lawyer was not one of the best, attorneys with the experience, so they need one more chance. However, that was rejected by the Supreme Court. One of the key arguments that they have raised against the victim was that she kept updating her testimony. There were discrepancies in her testimony. However, also please understand, this is also one of the most obvious arguments that is raised in a rape trial, that the testimony is inconsistent, it's incoherent. However, it is the sum and substance of the judgment. It is the reason and the discretion of the judge that is the final calling in this matter.
Okay, many thanks Anusha Soni for putting this entire case in perspective for all our viewers. And clearly 23rd October, which is 3 days from now, is when that quantum of punishment will be argued for and announced.